it's time for another episode of Blogger Corner with Britt.
Right on. The newest addition to the show, and she's even got her own intro now. Welcome, Britt, back to the show for Blogger's Corner.
Hello, everyone.
So, this week we got a few things to talk about. The new Arrow episode from the other night. The new Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. By the way, the newest episode was really cool. And we got a little bit more to add to the Miley Cyrus twerking, we'll call it incident, because I don't know how else to put it really. I mean, but it's kind of getting blown up out of proportion, like way out of proportion, and we got two different sides to it. We got actually a cool short article on the Rolling Stone from Paul McCartney saying pretty much what's all the shouting all about. And then there's Robin Thicke, the nice guy he is, throwing Miley right under the bus. So, so you know what? Let's kick it off with that first. So we'll be on this for a short period of time, and then we'll get to the better stuff. But once again, Miley Cyrus is still in the news because of this whole twerking thing. And Britt will talk a little bit about that article I sent you about Paul McCartney. And obviously, if you know who Paul McCartney is, then you've been living in a rock for the past 50 years. So
Yes, I think we all know who he is.
So pretty much what it came down to is pretty much what he said. He says, I don't understand what this is all about. You know, stars are going to do stuff to grab attention and gain attention. But in this instance, it is just attention. It's not because she's a loose cannon. So it was nice to hear a different perspective on it, and especially we'll call it a more respectable call on the whole situation.
Definitely. I mean, Paul McCartney was at the forefront of the whole change in the 60s movement with music and everything, so he knows a lot, causing controversy, what controversy can do for music and for artists. But in this particular case, Miley Cyrus does not have the talents of the Beatles to fall back on when the attention ultimately leaves.
Well, that's right. I mean, with a one-hit wonder father and a success of a children's show, mind you, so you can't really ride the coattails anymore. Granted, in some cases, you get a little bit typecast. You got to grow that shell, and people aren't always so accepting, especially if you're in the news all the time, because they're sitting at home and they're not making the money there, so they feel free that they can judge anything. So
that's very true. One of the things with Miley Cyrus changing up her image is that I understand that she wants to be seen as a young woman, and there's a way to go about that, absolutely. But just in terms of being free with your, sexual expression, nothing she's doing is particularly sexy. It's just gross.
Well, that's right, and it comes down to one of those things again where society puts a bit of a hamper on some people, but I mean, in this case, it's not society. I mean, this is like completely, we'll call it self-inflicted. It was her own idea to do this. I'm sure she had a little help from, like, we'll say a publicist or what have you. We have no confirmation on that, but it'd probably be a pretty accurate guess.
I believe that to be very accurate.
But this stuff has been going on, and it's in and out. But no, it's all been done, and this is nothing new. So what? It's a different dance with a different name. Big deal. It's like this has gone on for years. Pretty much starting from Madonna, the Madonna Britney's like, okay, wow. I was like, you know what? This pretty much, for the most part, like I would hope. Well, maybe that's a wrong word, but I think we've all, in a sense, become desensitized to a lot of stuff because it's so out in the open now. It's not just on TV, movies, and on the radio. Like, you mean a lot of stuff you do see in everyday life. And even
absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was just agreeing with you.
And I think one of the most ridiculous things, and like I said, we're not going to spend too long on this because we're going to end up being a dead horse here. But the jump back to the Super Bowl, like however many years ago, it's like 5 or 6 years ago, with the whole Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson thing. You can't tell me he didn't know exactly what he was doing when he was out there, and that this wasn't going to cause similar controversy and bust him in the ratings in general. I mean, like, it's one of those guys. I'm just not a fan, and I'll leave it at that because, like, I'm not going to go into detail because it'll take way too long to tell you exactly how I actually feel about the guy. But that's besides the point. But what we're going to get to real quick is we have a little clip here, and it's off of TMZ, and I happened to notice it the other day. And what it was is it's Robin Thicke, who is part of this thing, but now he's deciding to throw Miley under the bus. So let's take a quick listen and see what he has to say to Oprah about the whole thing.
Is sexual? Well, I was on stage. I didn't see it, So to me, I'm walking out towards Miley. I'm not thinking sex. I'm thinking fun. So I'm sitting there. I'm looking up at the sky and I'm singing. I'm not really paying attention to all that. That's on her.
Yeah, right.
But it's like, come on, you're up there.
So there you go. There's Robin Thicke throwing Miley under the bus, and I think everybody's with me, and we don't believe him for a minute. You're not going to go out on stage and have a 19-year-old girl dance around in skimpy outfit and say you're staring at the ceiling, singing your song, and not looking. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't believe any of his denials. I think that it was a smart PR move on his part, because isn't there a copyright controversy regarding blurred lines, and that had kind of blown up in court, and then all of a sudden he's involved in Twerkgate, and so that kind of took a lot of the heat off of that. Absolutely.
He's just trying to deflect, because otherwise he figures, no, I can't get myself in any more crap right now. I mean, between the problem with the picture that was circulating with the fan that we discussed on Twitter the other day, and of course there was the coke problem and the problems with his wife. So yeah, it goes on. He's got a big rap sheet, and he should think of what he says, and he's doing a good job deflecting. But we'll see how long he deflects it for until people say, you know what, he really is full of crap, and we're not going to buy this anymore.
I think that it's going to come sooner rather than later. I still can't believe he's the son of Alan Thicke, one of the greatest TV dads of all time from Growing Pains.
Well, that's right, and he can't put the two together. And I know I'm dating myself here, but I grew up on Growing Pains, so.
It's one of the best sitcoms ever.
But no, it was really enjoyable, and obviously we know who else came into that, and just a huge movie actor at this point. But we're not talking about him, because he's another one I'm not a huge fan of. So we're going to skip over that too. But let's get back.
Yes.
I'm sorry. If I get derailed here, Britt, just bring me back and say let's get back to it, and we can start talking again. So.
Oh no, no, it's fine.
All right. So next, we're going to get to the brand new episode of Arrow, which was really cool because now he's back, but now there's a bit of an issue because there's another quote-unquote copycat. So
yes.
What did you think of the whole episode? And then I'll kind of cut in now. I won't cut you off, but I'll throw my 2 cents in while you're talking.
Oh, okay. I enjoyed it. For me, it was not as good as the opener, but it was still a very strong episode for any TV show to have, and it was very engaging with the action and everything, and kind of getting a little bit, deeper. And how about that cliffhanger? That was pretty good.
Well, and that's right. And no, it was funny. It was funny too because when I saw him, because he got involved in the triad trying to stop him from stealing the medicine. And when I first saw Blades, I thought I could see Wolverine for a second,
Yes, that was very confusing.
So now there's a new character who pretty much matches Arrow, and even though he's trying to ditch the Vigilante name, he still seems to like it. Because pretty much right near the end, he says, no, that this Vigilante is going to stop this. It's like, well, we know kind of the direction it's supposed to be going in, but, kind of at least people don't know too much about it. Well, does he want to be a hero or does he want to be a vigilante?
Yes, some very interesting questions regarding that whole thing. And one of the things, just to mention that had to kind of slow down the episode for me was Roy, Arrow's sister's boyfriend, who is trying to become a vigilante.
Yep.
That is just getting very tedious. I mean, let's get into it or get off of it. I don't find. I remember that actor from the show Teen Wolf, and it was not great then. They made a big thing for him on the show then, but it's just not. He's just not engaging to me, and I don't understand why they continue to put such emphasis on his character.
Well, you're right. It's kind of boring because the only thing cool about the whole scene was a red Mustang.
Yes.
For me, that was the only thing cool about the scene. It's like, oh, cool Mustang.
Sweet, yes. I love the ride.
Otherwise, I lost interest because, I mean, you're right. It's getting kind of mind-numbing here. Obviously he doesn't do the job right. Almost gets himself killed, rolls the car, and then comes plays the cops if they're going after the wrong bad guy.
Yes, his fails should be enough of a warning to him that he needs to put down and just be grateful that he has a job working at this sweet club that Arrow has working.
Well, that's right, and I think the other thing at the end, kind of close to the end too, is that it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's one of those things. It hasn't necessarily been played out, but they've used that scenario a bunch of times where there's like a huge benefit and the guest of honor doesn't show, i.e. Oliver, because he put all the money up to it and said, no, I'm going to show up. But, he made the decision either, save the medicine or show himself to the people. So right now he's in a catch-22. He's kind of almost hated on both sides.
Yes, I felt like he could have still made the appearance and then maybe sent Diggle to go and take care of that situation. I feel like the multitasking of his superhero abilities is kind of getting limited at this point. I want to see him be someone who's kind of thinking outside the lines more than what we're seeing this season.
Yeah, and it's nice in the fact that Diggle, they're starting to open up his character a lot more now too, because this past episode, we learned quite a bit.
Yes, I was a little bit surprised in terms of his love interest. They're broken up. We didn't really get to see any of that. I didn't see what in the first season they had this really sweet little romance, and then all of a sudden we come back and it's over. So I kind of would have liked to see that on screen a little more, because it kind of hit me out of nowhere. But it was a really important and powerful message about the fact that he, when you hate something or someone and it overcomes your life, you don't have room for the people that you love. So it was an important lesson there.
Yeah, well, it's this the way things go, right? Sometimes they gotta kind of draw it out a bit. Plus, they can add to the storyline later, because I would make a guess and say that might come up again later, because there's gonna be some sort of run-in, and between Oliver and Diggle's ex. So, which is kind of weird to begin with, going from pretty much from one sister to the other,
That's very true. Awkward.
A very, very bold move, mind you, but but still, nonetheless, but I'm sure that's going to come up at some point as well. So I'm really looking forward to the next one. And from there, let's move on to, I knew it was the third episode, but the new episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was an awesome episode. I really enjoyed that. I just like the fact of this little molecule can literally pull trucks up right into the air. Because at first, when I'm watching this, I'm thinking aliens right at the hop, because that's normally what you see in the movies. These cars fly the roads because an alien ship's kind of pull them into it.
Oh yeah, I had not gotten a chance to see the third episode. I watched the pilot for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. last night, so I for some reason have this thing where I have to start off a series from the very first episode. So
fair enough.
I'm trying to work my way through that.
Okay, well, I don't want to ruin the whole episode for you, but
feel free to talk about it, because it doesn't bother me to hear spoilers or anything.
Okay, well, good. So essentially, what happened is the agents were shipping scientists who pretty much had created this and just pretty much needed one part, and he was done. And then a guy he had gone to school with apparently, stole the idea, and he found pretty much the way to do it. So they got the truck, pretty much got rid of the two agents protecting the truck, and they got rid of the truck itself. They pretty much picked it up, took the guy out, and then dropped it back down. The truck driver survived, but it made it even weird. And one of their new agents is she hasn't quite gone rogue, but you kind of don't know where she's sitting, because she's kind of she's with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but then she's helping this other guy who they sent her in to infiltrate to get the information and get this doctor out.
Oh, okay. Which one is she? Which one is she? Is she the one that was running working out of that bus or something?
Yeah.
Their new recruit?
Yeah, I can't remember her name. I don't know, recently, normally I'm very good with names, but I've been very bad with names in the past few weeks here. But
no, it's okay.
But yeah, she's she's the newest addition to the crew, and she's being trained and learning right now, and they show her being trained in the beginning, and she doesn't see a point to it, and because they're working on the punching bag. But the duo of the computer geeks in this show is honestly one of the smartest things they do, because both of them are funny and it's good comic relief.